Last week's class we discussed a little bit of the little intro regarding dating. The first date we go on. We mentioned how the first impression is one of the most important things a person has to work on his first date. You come in proper. If you're a businessman, you come with a nice suit. If you're a Ben Torah learning, make sure you're wearing your Shabbat suit. Even if you're a plumber or a businessman of any type, whatever it is, make sure you're dressed proper for the first date. And so on goes for the woman, for the girl. She should also dress properly. Her beautiful dress that she has. Obviously, you don't have to overdo it, but you should come dressed properly because the first impression that you make on a person usually stays with him forever. And then we discussed towards the end of the shiur that there should be a flow, there should be chemistry. We should give and take on a date, let the person, feel comfortable. And on that I want to expound a little bit on the actual conversation, the convo that you have on the first date or the first couple dates. Is that a person has to know that when you go on a date, besides the way you dress that we spoke about, should be presentable. Don't make it look like you just came out of the gym. Or you just came out of the shower, you didn't brush your hair. Or don't make it look like you just came out of Joseph Dreamburger. You got some still mustard on your mustache or something. Besides all that, make sure that when you have the conversation, you're not coming in. First, we have to make sure you both are comfortable. For example, I remember going on a date, and the first date that we went to was in Conrad. It's a lounge. It's very respectful. It's very elegant. It's very classy. Also, it's a very there's a high ceiling over there that also makes it a pleasant to sit down and talk, to have a conversation. So it's very important for you also that when you actually go on a date, make sure the place, it's not, you're not going to Bordeaux, you're not going to Pescara, you're not going to somewhere where everyone's there and you don't feel comfortable. Oh my gosh. You know that G? I went with the last time, whatever. Yeah, it's like very, very awkward, right? Or you have like all types of people that you know them. Oh my gosh, that G just came to my mother last night. It was for Shabbat, she was there and this and that. You want to feel comfortable, right? So you go a little bit, What? So I told you, for example, I went to Conrad. That's one example.
Where is it?
Conrad. Conrad is it? You guys don't know what Conrad is?
It's a hotel?
Yeah. In the city. Well, I want to tell you something.
It's a very yeshiva.
Before I went to the city, I could count maybe on my fingers how many times I went to the city. Okay? But then when I went, so obviously I wouldn't know really where to go. But between the boys, or between the girls, I'm sure there's places that, but you should go over there, And then you figure out, you check it on, whether it's Google, whatever it is, check the place before, right? If it's kosher.
No, it's
kosher vibe, he means. It doesn't mean guys smoking hookah. Yeah, what's up, though?
There's hookah?
I'm giving you an example, guys.
Interesting.
Ben, you haven't been in a while, let's see. Anyhow, you have to, what's it called? You have to get a place where it's comfortable, it's ease, it's nice, there's background music, no one's in your face, you have a couch, you feel comfortable. That's the first thing how your date should start off. Another thing is, once you start talking on the date, don't interrogate, don't investigate. I'm gonna drop a bomb over here, let's see if she falls down, or I'm gonna drop a bomb over here, let's see if he falls down. You guys working for it was undercover over here? What's going on? The guy watched a movie last night. It's a good technique. I'll use it on the girl. No. Whatever it was in the movie, stay in the movie. And don't bring it on a date. For all you know, she could watch the same movie and she'll leave it on you.
Whoa.
And then you'll cop where it's going. So at the end of the day, you want to have a nice, pleasant conversation. In that conversation, you want to try and make it her feel like she's the only person in the world. And the same way, sounds romantic, huh? And makes her, and she has to make it sound also, right? That when you're there, you're the only person that exists. Basically, you're tuning out everyone. That's by obviously you take your phone, either leave it in the car, side the boy, side the girl, or you put it on mute on the side. Okay? Not your mother, not your father, not your chavruso, not your uncle, not your grandma. Nobody should interfere into that thing. Obviously, if it's an emergency or whatever, then they would probably tell you before. You probably would have been on a date also. But let's say emergencies happen, right? So that you could answer the phone or whatever it is. Also, throughout the day, don't look at your watch. Don't look at the phone to see what time it is. Don't get stuck getting the water or beverages, whatever it is. Don't get stuck for a half hour and then come back. My apologies, I'm sorry. I just saw a friend or two. Because then again, you're showing her that she's less important. And you don't want to let her know that on a first date or at all. There was a guy that got married and his wife, after 8 years of living with him, she finally realized how much she means to him in his life. She took upon herself, she's going to take a pen and paper and she's going to write down a letter. And she's going to put it in his loose leaf. So tomorrow, the next day, when he opens up his loose leaf, middle of work, he'll see that letter. Okay? So that's what she did. She wrote him a letter. And in that letter, she expressed her love towards him. And when he read that, he was so touched. Those words will never escape his mind. Never. Even when he's screaming at her, even when he gets into a fight, and no matter what situation, those words are mended in his heart. That's it. Attached to him. Wherever he goes, that's a type of conversation you want to have with the girl you're on a date with. You want to make sure those words are precious. You want to make sure the conversation, there's chemistry, there's care, there's passion. You're not dead, you're not beat from a long day of work. Take a couple hours off of work, whatever it is, don't go to work if you can. Make sure you're giving your 100% to each other. That's the only way a date could actually work. Because if you're giving 50, she's your mirror. She's also going to give you 50. So you want to give it the most that you really have. Also, a person has to realize that no matter what you do in life, on a date, try to bring that into the date itself. I'll give a couple examples. I'll explain. If a person's a plumber, okay? If a person's a plumber, obviously, he's going to talk about the plumbing jobs that he has. If a guy works as a businessman, he's a lawyer, he's a doctor, or the girl's a nurse, or she manages a store, whether it's clothing or whatever, or a secretary, she's going to talk about that on the date also. And from that, you see his passion or her passion towards her work. Meaning, it's not just a job that he or she is working at. Rather, it's what they like and the jobs they found to fill in that passion that they have in life. And that's why they're at where they're at. When you talk about it and you show the importance of the job that you chose out of a million jobs that you could have worked at, it shows about your personality. But obviously, don't be persuaded and don't, go on and on and on about it. She also works and he also works. So try to hear a little bit of what he does. And you could ask, or investigate, but you ask in a nice way. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why did you choose this? Why not something else? And then you could see his mentality and you could see her mentality. And once you talk about it, you have a conversation about it, so then you could realize or pick up a little tools from here and there, and you build a whole conversation from that. Obviously, if you're a guy that's learning, so you have to act in accordance. And no matter what you do, you always have to talk with respect. Whether you agree or disagree, doesn't make a difference. You always have to talk with respect. She's a human, and you're a human. And you guys deserve the ultimate respect. And if there is no respect on a date, there will not be respect in marriage, if it gets to it. You have to have respect no matter what. And you can't come on a date, we spoke previously, that if you're angry and you come on a date, you bring that anger with you, it's going to reflect on your date. Make sure your head is clear. Whatever happened during the day stays. Whatever happens at work stays at work. You have to move on. You have to make her feel she's the only one, and the same, you have to make him feel like he's the only one. There's a famous story with the Maharal MiPrague. The Maharal MiPrague was one of the greatest students in his generation in Prague itself. And back then, it was very, very hard to find a father-in-law that would support Torah to the extent where he would want his son-in-law to sit and learn for the rest of his life, and he'll support him financially with everything. Today you do find, it's more common. Also today you find kollel, right? Kollel. You want to go learn? He'll pay you 1,000, 2,000, whatever it is in Israel, 2,000 shekel, 3,000 shekel. That's considered very nice. Even though over here, the cheapest kollel is more than 3,000 shekels. In Prague, it was very hard to find. But since the Maharal, he was also unique, so he had a unique father-in-law. But before they got married, the Maharal MiPrague, when he first met his father-in-law told him, listen, I know your value, I know what you're worth, and for me, I would have the honor, I would be pleased if you married my daughter, and here I'm going to write you a document that I'm going to support you financially for the rest of your life. I said, great. Let's just go on a date with your daughter and let's see if we match, right? There's chemistry. Whatever I want and she wants, goes, I'm married. But what ended up happening was life's a big circle. There's ups and downs. Just because today you're rich doesn't mean tomorrow you will be. Just because today you're healthy doesn't mean tomorrow you'll have it. And what happened was that the Maharal MiPrague's father-in-law, at the time wasn't, but he lost all of his wealth. And he told the Maharal, I know I wrote you my document that I'm going to support you for the rest of my life, but I don't have the means to support you. So, if you don't mind, let's hold. Let's put it on hold. The Maharal said to himself, after going on a date with this guy's daughter, her name was Peril, if I say I don't want her, and tomorrow I get married, how is she going to live with herself? She was just about to get married to the next Gadol. How is she going to live up with that? And what did he do? He said, I will not get married till she gets married. You know how long it took her to get married? 10 years. 10 years the Maharal MiPrague did not get married. His father-in-law, he got so poor to the point where he sold everything. And all what was left to sell was loaves of bread. Loaves of bread. And it got to such a point where the general of the army that went to war, he said to himself, I'm starving. And he saw the Maharal's father-in-law selling bread. He took his sword and he stabbed the table with all the loaves of bread. And he picked up 3 loaves of bread and he started eating it. The Maharal MiPrague's daughter turned to him and said, Your Honor, with all the respect, is that a way to act? You see we're poor. We're selling bread. Where's your mercy? You're a human. How could you do this to us? He says, You're right, but I haven't eaten for 3 days. She tells him, I'm sorry, but we're poor also. We also haven't eaten for a while. Could you please pay us something? He says, You know what? Here's my coat. He threw it to her. And he tells her, if in 3 days I don't come back, it is yours. But if I do, you have to give me back the coat. I'll pay. She says, okay, we'll see what we can do with the coat. After 3 days, the general does not come back. They find out, went out to war, and he died. They killed him. She's the rightful owner of the coat. She says, what am I going to do with this coat? She tries to feel the pockets. One pocket's empty. And then she feels there's something in the pocket. Other pocket. She puts her hand inside and she pulls out stones, gems, diamonds. She's like, wow, Daddy, Hashem gave us back our wealth. Her father went, took all those gems. He sold a couple. He got back his money that he lost. He went back to becoming rich. He takes that another document, and now he writes to Maharal MiPrague, if you're willing to marry my daughter, I'm still willing to support you for the rest of my life. Maharal says, I agree. They get married. When Rav Steinman saw this story, he said, you know why the Maharal MiPrague was zochet to be the Maharal? In one merit. Says Rav Steinman, because he's waited 10 years for his wife. Not to embarrass this woman. That's why he was zochet to all the Torah, all the books that he wrote, all the nisim, the miracles that he has done to people. All b'schut, waiting for his wife. Not to embarrass someone. You know, you go on a date, you talk, after 5 minutes you realize, she's not for me. What do? Yeah, so what are you saying? You pull out your phone? Yeah, just talk, whatever, I said 3 hours, we'll do 3 hours. You know, at the beginning you order a tea, trying to be a little gentle, you have a little dessert. After half hour, can I get the menu? I want the main course, this, that. Hey, get her a salad, whatever. all because you think she's not for you. Usually it's because you came with the wrong attitude. What you deliver, that's what gets received. You write a text, you press send. You know what's going to happen? They're going to receive that text. They're going to open it up, and exactly what you wrote, that will be understood. But if you come with warmth, with respect, passion, so then you'll get the same back. It's like a mirror. What you see is what you get. What you give is what you get to receive. Now, after this being said, person has to know you're talking. First date went successfully, great. Second, third, also great. Where are we going? What's the next step? What are we planning? You also have to know it's very nice. He's a plumber. He's a businessman. Marketing, whatever he's doing. Sure, it's a good job. Sure, it's a respectful job. What's the end game? What does he want to do after? Is he growing? Is he learning? Does he have guidance? What's with that? Yeah, but she has a good heart. Or he has a good heart. You know, all it takes is to get a heart attack and everything's gone. She has a heart. He has a heart. Everyone has hearts. And everyone's good at their heart. Everyone means well also. At the end of the day, everyone means well. We're all Jews. B'nai Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov. Rachmanim, we're merciful. We're a little shy. Gomlei Chasadim, we like to be kind. We all. It's just a matter of time. If you had the money, you had the wealth that he had, you'd probably do the same. Now we're going to go a little off topic, but it's also related. In psychology, there's something called NLP. NLP it's a program, it's a technique, how to make someone become a successor. And it doesn't take much. Obviously, it's a build-up, it's a work. But it all starts in your mind and it ends with your mind. And I'll explain. There was a rich guy, very wealthy guy. At the end of the day, we all need to feel good about ourselves. As humans, we have this natural desire to feel accomplished, which is a good thing. To each their own, everyone has their own way. Some people, they go to a restaurant, rooftop, maybe now it's raining somewhere else, but at the end of the day, you're somewhere that could fill that desire. Fill that desire. You'll feel good. Some people, like they made a hundred grand in crypto, they want to burn 20 in AC. Makes them feel good. Some people, they get into a PJ, they go to LA. Feel good. You get 15 guys, private jet, get the waiter. She's wearing a skirt, Yanu, and everything's fine. At the end of it, everyone has their own way to fill up that place in their heart where they go to sleep knowing they had a good day. This rich guy, he said, what's going to fill up that place in my heart is going to make a pauper into a successor, to a rich guy. So what they did was, he happened to live in Israel. He went to Machane Yehuda. He saw one of the guys selling over there tomatoes, the groceries. Sells them. I'm looking at you for the past half hour. I realize the way you sell your tomatoes, if I was poor, I would not buy from you. He says, what do you mean? It's like, The guy told you, hi, how are you doing? Trying to have a conversation with you. You know what you did? Rubbed him off. He asked you how much would this and this cost? A pound of tomatoes, a pound of cucumbers, kohlrabi, or lettuce, or whatever it is. And then you answered him with a sad face. It'll cost 20 shekels. He says, you gotta put some passion into your words. Guys, I'm selling watermelon, I'm selling this, I'm selling that. Put some passion. Feel alive. And people will feel the energy. Sometimes you go to the Machane Yehuda on Friday, Avatia, this, that. You feel the guy. Might be an Arab, might be a Jew, might be a 60-year-old guy, an 80-year-old guy with missing teeth, he's wearing a mask, whatever. But at the end of the day, he's alive. Come taste my amba, whatever. It stinks, but you're gonna taste it to make it feel good. Come, yalla, machya, here's some aran, drink, whatever. You make kiddush, this. It's Friday, okay, kiddush. Yeah, you go with it. He's smiling, he's alive. You want to buy from him. Even if it looks disgusting. You just want to buy it, make him feel happy. The pauper turns to the rich guy and he tells him, you know, it's very easy to say that. You're rich! You're driving a Rolls Royce, you got a private driver, you have a nice mansion, you pull up with a helicopter, you're rolling, you got a Rolex on your hand. You know how many tomatoes I gotta sell to get a Raymond Whale? And not even a Rolex, a Casio. You know how many tomatoes? I gotta sell maybe 10,000 tomatoes. If I had what you had, trust me, I would have been. And if I was here, I would be happy. Happier than you. He says, you know what? That's the case. Come. Takes him to his house. Take him to the safe. Tells him, he opens the safe, tells him, Moshe, come. Take whatever you want. In this safe, whatever you want, take. Are you serious? He says, yes. He sees a big block of gold. Sterling gold. He says, I can take this? It's a bar of gold. It's not tomatoes over here. It's legit stuff. He says, yeah, you can take it. He takes it. The next morning, he goes to Machane Yehuda. He wears a suit and a tie. He hired a couple more guys. Guys, I'm selling over here, bananas, this, that. He's screaming, got a microphone. He put some music in the background. Everybody started coming. Moshe, what happened to you? All of a sudden, you're alive. He says, yeah, Baruch Hashem, everything's good. I love Hashem. I love Hashem. Started complaining. He's always happy, this, that. Now it is what it is. Yalla, he changed. Moving. Okay? Everybody started coming. The guy became rich within 2 months. He started opening up another stand, half the shuk he owned. And he hired workers. And this is all because he had the gold as a security. He had something to lay upon. Okay? Moshe, after a while, he started thinking like a millionaire. He said to himself, I need to make someone that was nothing into something. He also went around the shuk. He saw a guy that didn't look too happy. And he was selling his bread because he had to. And if he didn't, he probably would have been dead. He tells him, David, you gotta be happy. Put on a smile. Feel alive. Some passion. He's like, Moshe, hold your horses. I know you 2 months ago. 2 months ago, me and you were the same thing. Just because now you put on a smile, I don't know what happened to you. You went to Mikubal or whatever, I don't know what you did. But you're a changed man. Maybe it's because you have money. Someone gave you something. It's like, you know what? If that's what's going to change you, come. He takes him to his safe. He opens the safe. He says, whatever you want, you can take. He goes. He sees the gold brick. Tells him, I want this bar. He says, it's yours. He goes. The guy's all happy. Really? It's mine? He's like, yeah, do I have to pay you? No, nothing, for free. Wow. He goes back home. Tells his wife, honey, we're rich. Okay? The next day he comes. Moshe comes to the shuk. He wants to see if, David's a changed man, like he was a changed man 2 months ago. He sees David came to work, the same guy. Saying he's sad, selling bread. His face is down. Bad spirit. Moshe comes over there and tells him, what happened? You sent me money. I gave you money. What happened? He says, you're a thief. You're a crook. You're a liar. It's like, what do you mean? He's like, I thought you were a good guy. But up until the moment where I told my wife, I really want to see if this is real gold. He went, he took a sledgehammer, he hit it, and he cracked it into two, and he realized that it was hollow from within. It's all fake.
Wow.
The question is,
Was it the same brick?
why was same brick? Why was Moshe successful, but David, he wasn't? Because Moshe, he realized he has this brick. Whether it's true or it's not true, we realize at the end that it's not true. It's all fake. But he put in his mind that he is going to be a developer. He's going to be a successor. He's going to be a millionaire. You know what happened? That's what he became. You have the power from within to be who you really want to be. That's it. Nobody can take that away from you. But that's if you believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, you're always doubting yourself, you're the one that's also going to destroy yourself from within. In a nutshell, that is what NLP is. When you go on a date and you're showing this girl that nothing is going to come out of this, you know what's going to happen? Nothing is going to come out of this. But when you go into life, whatever it is, whether it's business or whatever situation you're in, you have to look at it like a date also. That there's what to grow, there's what to flourish, there's what to develop. It doesn't mean that you're going to take right now a situation where you and her don't match at all and make it work. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, if you give it your 100% and you believe you're coming in with a good spirit, with a good heart, that's a good heart. What a good heart is, you're giving it 100%. Everything that you do, you're giving it to 100%. You're not saying, I'm going to come late, I'm going to talk about randomness, I'm not going to pay attention, and at the end of the day when I screwed up, by the way, I have a good heart. I always think about you. Because facts, if you really think about me, you would have thought about me also. And you would have gave it 100%. And there are times when we screw up, we mess up, 100%. But you can't look at that when it's 99%. But there's the 1% which has a good heart. It doesn't work like that. And what I mean is, if you're on a date, you're dating this guy, or you're dating this girl, and they're going downwards, then you know she or he is not for you. But if you're growing and she's growing, or if she's growing and you're growing, is what to work with.
How do you know if the person's like falling or growing?
So, one of the ways is obviously you talk about. You also see the way he dresses, the way he talks. What's his goals? When a person talks, for example, let's say, I'll give you this example. We spoke about it last week, but in short, I wish to mention this. Let's say a person, he works in the stock market. You ask him, interesting. It interests me. The stock market itself, it's something that's very doubtful. Even Warren Buffett, who spent the past 80 years in the stock market, and I would say he's the king of the stock market, even he himself has doubts as a stockbroker. So how would you, take these risks in life? To basically, you want to live financially comfortable, and you're in a job where you don't know what could happen. That puts you in doubt every second of your day. How would you want to live? So if he tells you, there's the S&P 500, there's the long term, so you see that he's a more thoughtful bank. But if all he invests in the penny stock, in crypto, in Dogecoin, and this one and that one, and these are currencies which in seconds go up and in seconds they go down also. So usually that's the type of personality he's also. One day he'll be with you, the next week he won't be with you. One day he'll answer your phone, the next week, I was busy, my mother, this G and that G, I can't talk right now. But are we serious? Usually what a person does in his day-to-day life, that's how you'll know really how it will be in the long run. Usually. If a guy's put together, his dress is put together, usually his car's put together, usually his life is put together. But if the guy dresses sloppy, his shoes, I'm not talking about the style, but if his shoes, his laces, they're unlaced, and they're not tied, and they look like, it's not the style.
Ripped.
It's ripped. He has, like a ketchup on his shirt.
Yeah,
Or-
some guys dress up, put together, their cars put together, but their only goals are stock market, making money, this, that.
Okay, we could see in the conversation where it's going. You'll see if he has guidance, if he learns every day, if he's working on himself, or all he's focusing on is making money. You see that in the conversation. You see the mentality, right? You have a conversation with a guy, or the guy has a conversation with a girl. In the middle of the conversation, where do you see yourself in the next 2, 3, 4, 10 years from now? I don't know. I'm a sales girl. So you realize that she's thinking small. You probably don't want to marry that girl. Or if you're asking the guy, what are you doing now? It's like, I'm a helper. And where do you see yourself in 10 years from now? A helper with a higher raise. Yeah, so you realize from there that you can stay helping someone else. I don't want you as a helper. I want you as a man. You have a job. You know what you want from yourself. Or you talk to a guy in a day, what are you doing? It's a good question. I never thought about that. Shema Yisrael, but you have guys. It's good that you guys don't know this, but there's guys that go on a date and they have no clue what to say. Nothing. He's playing as ad as it is. And if you ask him, are you an idiot? I have emunah. Emunah and Hashem is going to put the right words and the right questions and everything right there. But why do you have emunah to come to shul in the morning? Nah, I gotta work. What do you mean? I gotta make the money. Right? So you pick and choose where you have emunah. That's called no emunah. It's called no emunah. Emunah is also structure. Everything has to have a structure. You don't start building from the 30th floor. You start from the ground. Foundations. Make sure you're strong. Make sure it's there. There's concrete. There's cement between every single brick and structure. So even if one floor falls off, at least you have the structure. So in the conversation, you should always try to put in or try to get also info about what he's doing or what she's doing in her life. So if you're a Ben Torah, so you want to know, you want to see if this guy is really religious, what's his conversation? Usually we'll talk about a little Vatorah. He's not going to tell you right now, a whole sugya, a whole, Tosfot has a clear. If Gnevato means two gnevot or one gneva, no, that's not for me. That's for you in yeshiva. Stay over there. When you come over here, let's talk about something that I can relate to also. So you tell her a nice story that you heard, a nice dvar on the parasha, something that we relate to. And the guy goes on and on. Yeah, so Rashi and Vakama. So you realize this guy's, his head is not here. He's fried. If you cannot relate to the girl, or the girl cannot relate to the man, so there's something off over here. Something off. Either you need guidance, or you're just not for each other. And that goes with everything. With religion, with your level, right? You're right now, you're working on yourself to grow Shmirat Einayim. Okay? So because of that, you want to guard your eyes, you delete your social media from your phone. Whether TikTok, or Instagram, or Facebook, whatever it is. Slowly you're working on yourself. And then your component, you have a girl that you're going out with. She's a blogger on Instagram. And you're off it for a month already. She tells you, yeah, calm, don't worry. Hey, you start taking the video. And you don't feel comfortable because you're working on yourself. You don't feel comfortable. So A, she's not supposed to be on her phone. But B, now she's on her phone, she's also posting you on social media when you're working on yourself. So it's not fair for you to move on with that. Well, she's willing to work with it. Usually don't tell yourself, yeah, it's okay, she wears this type of skirt. So once she knows me, once she gets married to me, she's gonna wear a skirt to the floor. It's not gonna happen. You might wear a skirt to the floor. She's not wearing a skirt to the floor. It's easier for the woman to change the guy and the guy to change the woman. That's just facts. A woman is stronger. So if she is not spiritually there, don't think she's gonna get there one day because she has a good heart and she wants to please me. And you know how it is, right? Like the slang in the Chiluni world, in the modern world, where, yeah, it's all emotions. She doesn't act properly, or he doesn't act properly, but he's handsome. So maybe he'll change. Just because he's handsome doesn't mean he'll change. And just because she looks well doesn't mean she'll change. If she's at, or if he's at where he's at, there's a reason. That's where he's holding it. So you have to relate to that also. Don't expect more than you see. Also, don't judge 100% on what you see. Right? Don't judge a book by its cover. But if you read the pages in between, you can read what the book's about. The pages in between is the conversation, is where her head's at, where your head's at, and based on that, you could move on. Also, don't feel obligated to talk about what you prepared. A lot of people, I discussed with my Rebbe or my mentor that we're going to discuss, let's say, about school, Israel, hobbies, and then whatever, chit-chat. Now you start the date. You started talking about business. It just came up. You were driving on the belt, on the Prospect Expressway, or whatever it is. You saw a big sign. And you started asking her, hey, what do you say about that sign? What do you think? Or you started seeing, Geico, the guy, the frog with Geico wearing a mask. Well, what do you say about the vaccines? What do you say about what do you say about what's it called? The mat. Well, what do you have to say about that? And you started talking about that, and this chemistry, and you feel good, and this and that, and you're changing, exchanging information. And then you realize, wait, we're talking about this for an hour. What about school? What about Israel? What about her hobbies? What about her? Don't feel like if you're not talking about, obviously you shouldn't be talking about nonsense for the past, 3 hours. But if you feel like there's a good flow, and even though you're talking about politics, sometimes from politics you could realize she's a liberal, leftist, right? Also, it's personality. It's not just, people don't just do things because I do it. No, right? We're above that, out of the box. Think about it out of the box. If you're doing something, there's a reason why you're doing it. Okay, so don't feel pressured. You don't have to know. We're not in the army. It's not ABC. It's okay. We're a little more dense than that. Life is not exactly a telephone book. It doesn't have to be exactly like that. In general, you should be in order, in place, should have everything organized. But it's okay if you started off a little detour here and there. It's okay. It's not a problem. So don't feel, pressured. There's always day 2, day 3, or whatever it is. Also, very important to realize that when you see a girl on a date, or see a guy, in the back of your head you're saying, wow, she looks great, she's gorgeous. Or you see the guy, wow, he looks better in real life. She didn't tell me that he's like that, Yeah, of course she would tell you like that. You probably date him, and she was probably thinking of dating him after you, and whatever. Everyone has, other intentions. She didn't want you to feel on a hype, so you go, full force, and vice versa. Now, even on a moderate level, you don't straight up say, by the way, wow, you're a 10. or you tell the guy, wow, I see your APAC, you're like, beautiful, wow. Everything I saw you in the gym once. That was that you? You wearing this and that? She'll tell you exactly the socks that you're wearing. You wear socks? I don't know if you wear socks in the gym. But at the end of the day, she'll tell you exactly. That's not proper. Because as a man and as a woman, we both know where it's going next. Facts.
You're right.
So we don't start off with that. What we could do is, you could give a compliment, but like indirectly. Okay? So that's also very, very important. I'll give you an example. Let's say you had a conversation with her, and she made a very strong point. You could compliment. Wow, that's beautiful. In that beautiful, you also have money. She's beautiful, but I'm saying, you're saying that's beautiful. Like I never thought about that. She'll acknowledge that, and the same is true by the girl. If the boy makes a strong point, or if he gives you a nice story, or whatever it is, explain you something in a way that you never thought about it, and now it makes sense to you. Say, wow, that's really clever of you, and so on and so forth. In every date, there should be 1 or 2 or 3 times where you throw these compliments to each other. It enhances the relationship that you guys are building. Whether you're going to marry her or not marry her, at least you're a mensch. You're a man. Or you're a woman. Morality. A little respect to one another. So, very important. When you go on a date, try to make it comfortable for both of you with the timing. Let's say in the religious world, they start a date, usually starts at 7, 7:30 to 8, and it's around a 3-hour date. So, from when they pick you up to when they drop you off, it's 3 hours. In the religious world, that's how it is. So if I would start 7, I pick her up at 7, I drop her home at 10. Drop her home at 10 o'clock. So figure it's a half-hour drive there, half-hour drive back, 2 hours we're talking, conversation, chemistry, so on and so forth. Now, I'm not gonna say, this is a set time, 3 hours. Obviously, you could give it a take. It could be 2 hours. It could be 4 hours also. But usually, you don't want to start off too many hours, because in the second, third, fourth day along the lines, it seems like if it gets shorter, that you're less interested. Which again, the after effect shows negativity. And you're also indirectly or directly embarrassing her or embarrassing him, and it doesn't really show a good part of you.
What if you have you run out of things to say? Like like I don't, not per se like run out. I mean like you guys don't want to constantly like bring up the same conversations.
You'll realize, I hear what you're saying, and we spoke about it in the past also, that it's okay if it gets quiet for a moment or two. It's fine.
Oh my god.
It'll be a little awkward, but it's normal. In every conversation that happens, in every relationship it happens. You know what? I'll give you an example, okay? You're married, right?
Okay.
When you got married, this year, you find out
Yeah.
zivug. You think you're gonna talk to your wife 24/7?
God no, please no.
Exactly. Don't worry, she doesn't want to speak to your story about herself. At the end of the day, you're gonna talk to her, and there's gonna be awkward moments also. Wait, what'd you say? Scratch that. That's not awkward? Of course it's awkward.
What about people who are like introverted?
Of course after marriage it's awkward.
So what about people who are extroverted and introverted? People
One time, I'm not done. One time. So at the end of the day, it could be awkward, but it's normal. It's okay, because we're humans. We make mistakes. Also, you're not a robot. You're not a computer, right? And even a computer sometimes, messes up. There's an error, there's that. It's okay. It's fine. Laugh. She'll appreciate that.
Why?
You know why? Because it shows that you think before you talk. Usually guys don't stop talking. They're usually the dumb ones. He's talking. And then you're like, 1 second. The guy doesn't shut up. He doesn't stop talking. Even the radio has like a tongue, Guys, he swallowed the radio. It doesn't stop. Advertisements, this, that, he's looking this. Wow, the lights, this, like. You don't have to talk, I promise you. You don't have to talk 3 hours of the day. It's fine. If you spoke for a half hour, it's fine. I once went on a date, and the girl, she was very dry. Very dry. She happened to be very, very religious also.
What does that mean?
I'll explain it to you.
Like one word answers, like stuff that you can't really build conversation.
Basically like this. Basically, even that really, I didn't get. I was talking to her, okay? I was talking to her. She was very shy also. In the religious world, it takes time to open up. Sometimes, I didn't hear what you said, but we'll keep it like that. Anyhow, sometimes in yes, sir. I'm answering your question. You want from me?
I'm sorry.
You don't want me to answer? I move on.
No.
Okay, fine. So listen. At the end of the day, sometimes in the religious world, you have a girl who you could be the first guy she's speaking to. She never spoke to a guy in her life. It's also likewise, right? So you're sitting with her, and she doesn't know how to act. She doesn't know how to react. Like, okay, it's nice. He's telling me about himself. Yeah, so, now, you're the type of guy also that you don't really like to read books the whole day. So you mention like on the side, and then she says, yeah, we're a family, we like to read books. So you realize like she's book smart, but like everything besides that, there's nothing there. You really can't have a conversation. Like if I were to take a book and read off the book, and she takes the book and read off the book, that's how I felt the day was spent. Like I was talking, she really answered. It was like a mashahu. If I spoke for 10 minutes, she would speak for 1 minute max. So I tried this way and that. Many techniques, you switch the conversation. Maybe she doesn't feel comfortable. But over time, I realized that some people are just very closed, and they don't feel comfortable speaking to you. Although it's a date and you should feel comfortable, but sometimes it takes a day or 2 or 3 to open up. Now, if you're the type of guy that's willing to go with that type of girl, and it only takes her 3 dates to open up and to feel comfortable with you, so chazak baruch, very good for you. And most people aren't, right? Especially in this world, everything has to be instant. You ask the question, you want to answer, right? So you're able to realize that. But let's go back to what we spoke about. Not to make the dates too long. It's not comfortable. When you have a date for too long, you also had a day of work. On the first day, usually you're not eating, so you're starving. You can't really show her. Your stomach is already going, you know? Like, you get up to the bathroom, you come back 5 minutes later. You're out of it. Also, it's uncomfortable for her. As much as she's comfortable for the 2-3 hours that she's talking to you, but like, I don't know you, you don't know me, so it's like nice, whatever. But let's not lose the good, you know. Meet person for the first time, she enjoys speaking to him, whatever it is. But after a while, she's like, okay, fine, it's nice meeting to you, whatever. And you move on. That's very important. Also, person has to know that when you talk about yourself too much on a date, the girl doesn't like it. And vice versa. I'll give you an example. You have to express to each other what you're about, what's your beliefs, you know, where you're holding your life. But it's very important that you're straight to the point and you don't elaborate about yourself way too much. For example, let's say you have a job, okay, 9 to 5. Then you tell her from after 5 o'clock, I go eat supper. 5:30, I have a rabbi that I learn with an hour Gemara. Then after that, I have another hour that I learn Navi with another rabbi. And after that, I have another rabbi that I learn Tehillim. And after that, I go to Tomchei Shabbos. I go give boxes to other people. I tell you, you know what I do? Wow, what a great mitzvah. And you start talking about yourself. How she's a great person. Although you're so tired, you went to learn this and that. And you give tzedakah and you donate to organizations. And all the things that you do, you put her out. Girls don't like to hear that about you. Because you're showing them that you're a big shot. You're showing them that you like to talk about yourself too much. And the same is true on the opposite side. If a girl's a big Baal Chesed, and she works, and she cooks, and she cleans, she does everything. First of all, she'll see it, and you'll see it once you're married. Who you really are. So there's no need to expound. And by the way, you'll find out. So both of you, the girl will find out who the boy really is, and the boy will find out eventually who the girl really is. Just a matter of time. So no need, to go and sell yourself as if like every mitzvah that you did, you're putting it on the table, and to show off like, this is who I am. Because now also it feels like a competition. Also, because you did this, so if I don't do whatever you do, so I'm like less than you. You don't want to create that on a date. So therefore, try to minimize. Don't maximize on what you do and everything. Try to minimize that. No, I learned this, that, whatever. Don't make it sound like, you learn, whatever. You learn, but make sure that it sounds like, this is what I do, and move on. I'm a normal guy. Because too much of anything is too much on another person.
Okay, but what if, you're saying, okay, you tell them I do this, I do that, and then you move on. I learn, I do this, I move on. You don't dwell too much on the conversation. Well, what if...
If you're mentioning it like, okay, this is part of my routine, if you mention like it's part of my routine, fine. But like, if you expound on it, oh, look what a good guy I am. You explain to her as if like she's your mother or something. Your mother likes to hear that.
No,
your father liked to hear it.
Okay, but wouldn't you feel that it's boring to just I don't know where this.
Let me ask you, don't you feel like it's boring telling this girl like this met yesterday, your whole life?
One more time?
Don't you feel like it's boring telling this girl like this met last night, your whole life story? Well, if she's gonna be my wife, I'll let her know everything. give it some time. Now you don't tell everybody, right? You pull all your eggs in one pot,
No.
all your money in one stock market.
No.
Save it slowly, right? And either way, once she gets to know you, she'll know that you're this type of guy, so it makes sense that you do A, B, and C. But give it some time. Don't jump into things. Give it some time. And along the lines, she'll feel what you're doing. You'll feel what she's doing. And get to know each other on a different level. Also, Netzor Leshoncha Mera. It's a very famous pasuk that we say in Tefillah 3 days. Netzor Leshoncha Mera Usfatecha V'deber Ima. That we pray to God, pray to Hashem, that He should guard our tongue from speaking bad. And why is this important? Because, Oren, a lot of times in life, we don't realize or we talk slander about ourselves. For example, a person goes on a date, and he says, you know, I did this and this to my friend. I'll give you an example. In yeshiva, one day, there was a boy that went to a rabbi's house. And this rabbi wasn't accepted in this yeshiva. They didn't like this rabbi. That's when they're against this rabbi. So one of the boys heard that his friend went to this rabbi to eat for Shabbat meal. So what did he do? He went and he raided his friend's room. The boy comes back Motzei Shabbat to his room and he sees that it's raided. They took his mattress, they took his clothes, they put it in soap and who knows what. So now what happened? This boy goes, he knows that the other guy's room, he knows already who did it. So what does he want to do? He wants to do the same to the other guy. And he ends up doing it. Now when you go on a date and you tell the girl the story, she doesn't know exactly why this rabbi is not accepted, why you went to him, you went intentionally, not intentionally. You start talking about yourself as if like, I got him back. The guy screwed me over, I screwed him back. Right? The guy hit me, right? He hit me, I went at night, I slashed his tires. You don't say this on a date. Whether you did it or you didn't do it, don't mention that. Or the girl, no, she embarrassed me. I went on Instagram and I tagged on her page that she's the worst person that I know. Hashtag this video. Everybody, they go to the Instagram, everybody forgot about her. Hashtag the video, go to the video. Look at the video. And then what do? Mizaket Rabim. You send this video to the whole entire world. Everybody has to know. When you say this on a date, you never should say that at all. But when you say it on a date, you know what you're doing? You're showing the other person who you really are. You're a person that if someone does something to you, whether it's on purpose or not, you will go and get them back. Whether it's right or wrong, that's not a right technique. On a date, you don't talk about that. If she's your wife, it's one thing. And even your wife, you shouldn't say certain things. You hate a certain guy. You don't have to let the wife know. Because if you let her know what's going to happen? She'll hate him also. And the woman, they're on the phone. They're on the social media. You're this guy, what a scumbag. He did this to my husband and this and that. And before you know it, it gets back to his wife and World War III. But all I told was one woman. And she has 30 friends. and shtoret. And the same is true to the guy. The guy went to shul on Shabbat. They drink booze, and before you know it, he starts opening up his mouth. And all the guys, well, you heard what he said? Nah, it's not true. And you ask him, is it true? Yeah, of course it's true. Your wife? Like, this is your wife? He said, yeah, you don't even know my wife. This is bad. I have crazier stories.
Shock.
And then his kids go into shidduchim. Nobody wants to touch his daughter. Nobody wants to go with his daughter. Why? Because he himself ruined it for himself. You're talking slander about your own wife, about your kids, about yourself. You know what's going to affect? First, it's going to affect you. Nitzor l'shulcha merah. We pray to God that He should protect our tongue from talking slander about ourselves and kal v'chomer about other people. Because when you do that, you are hurting yourself, you're hurting your surroundings, and you're hurting your family. Anyone who thinks about it will never want to do it. But the question is, do we think about it when we do it? We don't really think about it. So what? Because you're angry at the moment. At the moment, you don't think. At the moment, you go, you do it. You just have to be very, very careful. Very careful. There's two last topics. Two more points I'd like to make in this class. Is that a lot of times, this is a very big one. It's a very big point that we should never do on a date. Never, ever, ever, ever on a date. This is a no-no. Want to hear what it is?
Of course.
Of course.
It's not spilling.
You never mention your other dates.
Yeah.
No.
Oh my.
Do not mention your other dates. You go on a date. Thank God you look good. Thank God.
Oh my god.
Wait. Is that a compliment? Is that...
Shoot.
Why are you checking me out?
What?
It could go both ways. You tell the guy, Baruch Hashem, his nose is not crooked. Now, even if he takes it as a compliment or she takes it as a compliment, the date is not about you anymore. Wait, who do you go with? I know all the girls. I know this, I know that. And then you, I know all the guys. Who could she possibly go with? And then it starts, then for sure you're talking about slander. You're talking about this guy and that guy. And the whole date, you just ruined the whole thing. The whole date's going sideways. Asur, you're not allowed to talk about anyone, but of course, you do not talk about your previous dates. Let's say after date 8, number 9, number 10, whatever you're holding at, you feel like you're very, comfortable. You're almost basically getting engaged to the guy, right? You're engaged to the girl. You're going to propose to her tomorrow, whatever. You want to ask her this question. If you're comfortable, she tells you, you can ask whatever you want. It's like, legit? Legit? You sure? It's like, you know what I mean. So he tells her, you also know what I mean. You can ask me whatever you want. You can also ask me more or less. Okay. She asks him, tell me the truth. Have you dated this girl in the past? Even in that situation, don't answer straight up. You put a smirk on. She hops that you did, but don't show yeah, I did. Because yes, I did means, let's talk about it. That's what yes, I. Because once you give, that's it. Now she wants to know everything. Or now you want to know everything. Right? Also, how was it? Right, he's boring. Right. Right, he's weird. Like he starts twitching his nose in the middle. Right, is that normal? Or you tell the girl, or she tells you all types of things that she had in the past that she also dated this guy, and you also dated that girl, and it's so funny. Like, what shaykhis? Why did they pair you with that one, and why did they pair you with this one? So that we don't do. It's not healthy. It's not proper. And it's not what dating's about. It's about getting to know each other. Not about other people that were in the past in your life. Now, we're gonna end off with this. It's also very important. A guy came to the rabbi and he asked him a question. Am I allowed to continue with this girl, although I feel like it's not for me?
That's why we get to move.
You're a guy. I'm sure you have an answer to your question. You haven't dated for a while. What's your holding by not talking to girls? So although she's not your wife, she's not going to be your wife, or vice versa. You took upon yourself to talk to guys. And now you're dating, so like, halachic, it's okay. You know, I'm not flirting with him. I'm not talking about, intimacy. We're talking kosher stuff. Am I allowed to continue on a date? Right? If you go on a date in the religious world, nobody will look at you as a goy or as a shegitz or as a shikza or whatever. But if you're going out, it's a problem. So from the outside, there's a little loophole, You call it a day, it's okay. So this guy came to the rabbi. He's like, Rabbi, I want to go out with this girl a couple more times. My gut's telling me she's not for me. I don't feel like she's for me. Or vice versa, the girl wants to go out on a date with the guy because,
It's fun.
anyhow, she has no resumes. There's no guys next on the list. Right? So, like, why not? Go for fun. He pays for me. He gives me a ride. We go to nice places. It's company. We enjoy each other. So it's not, not marriage material, but my boyfriend for a day or two. It's allowed? So,
No.
Lecha is, what's the percentage that you feel that she's not for you? You feel like 80% she's not for you, 20% she is.
Somebody to work with.
What? That's a real guy, He wants to go out of the house. It's not to work with, 20%. But let me ask you, if there was 80% chance in the stock market that crypto's going down the drain, and 20% that it's going up, you're investing $1,000 inside?
Yes.
It's going up.
Take the risk.
What?
It's going up.
Yeah?
All out.
So you look at a girl as crypto?
Honestly,
Yeah?
You never know.
So then for you,
That's a good investment or a bad investment. You have to think about it.
Yeah, it doesn't mean like that. It just means
Either
that
way, the bad investment.
if
might
you
be
don't
less.
want, that means they do want. It's just a fact of life. But at the end of the day, if that's the way you think about women, not in a bad way, right? Not in a bad way, obviously. But if that's the way you think about, so then it's 80-20 vice versa. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't the question. So let's go back to the question, Aaron. If there's 80% chance, no. 20% yes. You're going to say, there's still a chance? Or you're going to say, nah. Shtika koda, exactly. So, what?
80% is 80%.
I know, and 20 is also 20. So what are we saying?
The majority of
We're
it.
saying no, right?
Yeah.
Very good. So that's basically the answer. If you feel like more of you is saying no, and less of you is saying yes, so go with the more you, because the more you knows you more than the less of you.
So
Basically, you don't go out. Okay? Now it's a 50-50, you go out. Because that's a real dilemma. Even if it's 60-40, also, it's a very, broad question, and it's a very vague answer, meaning it's not really a yes or no, because it all depends on the situation. It also depends who's guiding you. Also depends
More dates.
how old you are, you know, how many dates, how much you're invested over here, what's the issues that you have over here. And that's really what it depends on. But overall, if you know you're dating, your guidance, this and that, a rabbi or a madricha or a mentor, or someone guiding you, and that's what it came out 80 to 20 or 70 to 30, so then you don't go out. Okay? But that's in a nutshell. So the person has to realize at the end of the day, the more you go out, right? And you know that it's not for you, it's gonna make it harder for you to detach. It's just a fact in life, right? The more of a relationship you create, the harder it is to detach, the harder it is to fall apart, the harder it is to, to refrain yourself from going. It's very hard. You speak to her, you talk to her, you see her every day, she's on your front page and this and that. You're sleeping with that mind that she's with you the whole entire day. You don't even know her. You barely even know her. So what, you met her with a couple of times. You don't really know her. So if you create that relationship, A, it's not real. B, also, you're not giving yourself a fair chance. Not giving yourself a fair chance. It's not healthy for you and not healthy for her. Because you're lying to each other. And if dating is lying, the marriage is for sure lying. For sure. Not even a question. The whole dating is based on a lie. The whole marriage is based on a lie. And just like a lie, sheker, shin kufresh, has only one leg, it's bound to fall. So too everything will fall. It'll stand. But till the wind comes. Till a fight comes. Till something comes. Starts to rain, everything falls apart. But again, the main ingredient for this, the person has to continue learning and embraces emunah, and that's how things will come a lot clearer for him. Sign a date, also sign, him understanding. The more we learn, the more Shirei Torah enhance, we write down things, we go over. So the stronger we become. I just want to end up with a story I just heard and blown away. On August 3rd, 2003, there was a blackout in America. And many companies were frustrated. They didn't know what to do. Where do we go? Who do we turn to? But one of the main businesses that really were pondering what to do and they were losing themselves was the ice cream business. Because their whole business is based on freezers. If there's no freezers, there's no business. So, the two Chalav Yisrael companies that we know most famous are Klein's and Mahadran. The Kleins were panicking. I'm sure the Mahadrins were also. But they knew they had 24 hours. The freezers were that strong. You can close it, it's sealed. For 24 hours you can manage. Past 24 hours, you're done. 3 hours later, a miracle happens. The electric goes on for Klein's. The owner of Klein's, will call him Eli. Eli tells his son, David, do me a favor. I want you to call our competitor, Mahadran, and ask him if his electric went back on. He says, Daddy, you sure? He says, yes, I'm sure. He calls Mahadran, speaks to the boss. We'll call him Reuven. David talks to Reuven, says, is your electric back on? He says, no. He turns back to his father. He says, Daddy, what do I do? He says, tell him that he could bring all of his ice cream to my warehouse. Our warehouse. David turns to his father and says, Daddy, we don't got room. And B, he is our competitor. says, don't worry about that. We're gonna make room. We're gonna take out all, half the freezers are gonna be Mahadrim. The other half will be clients. We'll stuff it up. We'll get trailers, connect electric to them. It's okay. A couple hours later, Mahadrim shows up to the client's warehouse with huge semi-trailer with all the ice cream. And they started unloading. And they put all the ice cream on the Mahadrim in the client's freezers. After a while, the lecture goes back on. They thank each other, hug each other, appreciate each other, acknowledge what they did for each other, and they move on. Eli turns to his son, David, and tells him, you know, this that we do chesed, we do it every day. You know why I really cared about Mahadrim? You know why it hurt me to see that Mahadrim doesn't have electric, although he's my competitor? He says, because of one thing. I believe that whatever I'm supposed to make, I'm going to make. Business is in Hashem's hands. How much you going to make this year? It doesn't depend how many hours you put in work. It doesn't depend on how many days out of the week you're at work. It depends how many seconds, how many minutes, how many hours are you connected to the one above. When a person internalizes this idea that when I go on a date, this morning, I gave a shiur in Jersey City. I usually give during the week. And the place where I give the shiur, it's right next to our courthouse, the Supreme Courthouse. It says a lot about the place. There is no parking. As it is in New York, there's no parking. Everywhere you go, you have to plan ahead. I might park 3 blocks away from my job. I might get a ticket. I might get this. Today, a guy calls me up from Miami. He used to come to shiur. He watches the shiurim on YouTube. He says, you know, thinking about it, you know how much money I save just from tickets every month? He's like, I save a lot of money. A lot of money. So I was laughing because it's true. End of the day, you live in Brooklyn, there's no parking. Everywhere you go, double park, this, that. Especially with all those speed cams flashing the whole day. Huh? Today you don't have to use Waze to see the speed cam. You see one, you see on the other side of the block, there's another one. Every other block is on a speed cam. But at the end of the day, he's able to live calm. He's able to appreciate the parking. He's able to appreciate what Hashem gave to him. But how? Because he realizes what it means not to have, and then he realizes what it means to have. So in the mornings, when I drive to the city, I have a little tefillah. I pray to Hashem, Hashem, please. Today the tefillah was, Hashem, please give me the parking spot they gave me yesterday. Yesterday he gave me right next to the job. And today, Baruch Hashem, I got like half the time also I got there was like a mess. But also, as soon as I came, on the right, parking spot. But this is not because it's me. This is all relevant to all of us. When you pray, you talk to Hashem. You don't have to put on tefillin. You don't have to go pray in shul 3 hours. You don't have to go to the Kotel or Ben Nachman's Kever to connect to Hashem. You could be in your car by a red light, talking to Hashem, trying to connect to Him. And you realize that He answers your prayers, that He's hearing your prayers. And the same thing with dating. When we talk to God, talk to Hashem. I want clarity. I want to find something that you believe is the right one for me. Beside Hashem will give us what's right for us.
Amen.
Hashem, you guys all find these this year. Go back and love Israel. Amen.